Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger. Here's yet another birthday animation countdown I did last year in a commentary style. And this time we're in 2004 when I turned 10 years old. It was officially a decade of my existence. And during that time, it was also the Olympics, the 2004 Olympics. What got me aware of this was either a Coca-Cola can or the fact that at the time Cartoon Network was rerunning Scooby's All-Star Laugh Olympics. Hence why there's Mumbly in the background. A character who's a lot like Muttley. From what I understand in All-Star Laugh Olympics, they couldn't use Muttley in that show because Muttley was co-owned by another company during the production of Wacky Races. So they had to create a new character who looks exactly like Muttley, named Mumbly. And before Laugh Olympics, he used to star in his own show called the Mumbly Show, and it was kind of like a compilation show with Muttley, Grape Ape, and the Tom and Jerry show of the 70s. And they had a similar theme song. It kind of went like something like this. Do 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 do. It's the Tom and Jerry show. Or also like da 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 da. It's Tom and Jerry and a Grape Ape show. Something like that. It was when Hanna-Barbera was really trying to struggle with trying to make a show that stands out while pleasing to moral guardians, because at the time, kids television at the time was like super restrictive. They don't want too much conflict at the time. For me, one of the better ones back then was Scooby. My most favorite back then was Scooby's All-Star Laugh Olympics because it had the right amount of cheese and fun with the Olympic sports and stuff. Anyways, so what was my most favorite cartoon back then? It was a bit of a debate, really, because I was actually wondering if I should consider that a season of a show from 2001 or be its own show. Justice League Unlimited. Is it a season of Justice League, or is it a completely a show on its own? For me, I consider it a bit of a show on its own because unlike the original Justice League, that one I believe is a bit darker compared to Justice League Unlimited, and instead of the 26 episodes, and each of them are and most of them are two-parters, with the exception of the Christmas one. I think it's kind of a little bit more different, and and also the different theme songs. The first one had do 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 do, and Unlimited had do 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 do. And like I said, Justice League Unlimited is slightly more lighthearted, and they don't do two-parters super often. They keep each standalone episode at 22 minutes for the most part. There are some continuity bits here or there, like like I believe season 3 was like a big story arc of building up all the way towards the big battle of Darkseid. So what is my most favorite? Without further ado, what are my honorable mentions for favorite cartoon of 2004? So Atomic Betty is a pretty kick-ass space sci-fi show about a little girl with some alien friends and stuff. There's Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. It was a close candidate, but looking back at it, I'm not enjoying it as much as I used to. It was fun at the time, but looking back at it, not quite my cup of tea. I still like it, but just not as much as before. Maybe because Blue got a bit annoying, and surprising enough, Mr. Harriman started off as kind of boring, and Blue started off as really cool. But over time, in the later, I grown to like Mr. Harriman more than Blue. Funny enough. Hi Hi Puffy Yami Yumi. Yes, it's one of those celebrity endorsement shows. In fact, it was kind of a popular thing in the 70s. And even to this day, there's still something like that. I mean, in the 70s, we had the Jackson 5 and the Osmonds. And, we also in the 90s, there was a Hammerman and Kid and Play. And, of course, with the 2000s, there's Hi Hi Puffy Yami Yumi. In fact, the first one to do this is, I believe, is the Beatles, where it focuses on the caricatures of the Beatles, from the 1965 cartoons. Even though looking back at it, it is rather cheesy, but some people do look fondly on how cheesy it is. In fact, the Beatles themselves thought it was cheesy, but kind of fun too, to a point where even Craig McCracken gave the cartoon Beatles a cameo in the Powerpuff Girls episode Meet the Beatles. Looking back on Hi Hi Puffy Yami Yumi, I thought it was a bit of a nice novelty on the anime style with the characters of Ami and Yumi and Kez. And the final candidate was Drawn Together. Before Total Drama, Drawn Together was one of the earliest, if not the earliest, examples of parodying reality shows. And unlike Total Drama, which was basically based on Exposition Robinson and Survivor, Drawn Together was based more on Real World or some other reality shows about characters living in the same house. I would say The Jersey Shore, but that came out years later after Drawn Together. So anyways, what is my most favorite animated movie of 2004? Well, judging by this, I think you already can tell. The SpongeBob SquarePants movie. Yes, a lot of people say this is probably where SpongeBob should have ended, because it kind of ended kind of perfectly. Now, admittedly, I'm getting a bit tired of hearing that phrase. Admittedly, I kind of found myself frowning every time I hear people say SpongeBob should have ended after the movie, SpongeBob should have ended after the movie. Fun fact, Hillenburg himself wasn't keen on making a SpongeBob movie, but he was pestered by the executives to ask if he can make a movie. And when he kept pestering him about it, he's like, all right, I get it! And then finally he decides to make the movie, and that's how he made the movie. And also, the more you think about it, without the movie, I probably wouldn't get into SpongeBob in the first place, believe it or not, because it was season 4 of SpongeBob that actually made me get into SpongeBob. And with Dungeons and Dragons, Mrs. Puff You're Fired, Krusty Towers, Fear of the Krabby Patty, and Skill Crane. So many episodes of season 4 are what made me want to get into SpongeBob SquarePants. Made me want to check out some of the older shows, because believe it or not, back in my earlier days, I wasn't that keen on SpongeBob, or I didn't remember thinking about SpongeBob that highly, and I thought it was alright. I mean, the most memorable for me was Nature Pants and Bubble Buddy, but I kind of forgotten the rest. And I was in fact I was more into Rocko's Modern Life or Kablam at the time, and I was also more into Cartoon Network. So back then I wasn't too keen on SpongeBob. That is until 2008 or 9, when, after watching some Potter Puppet Pals videos, some of them backwards, I decided to take a look at some more backwards videos, and apparently some of them were SpongeBob related. So then I started to search for more SpongeBob clips. Then I became a bit highly addicted to them, and some YouTube poops as well, like especially with the chocolate, that I decided to try and find the SpongeBob episodes themselves, see if I could find some episodes. And I started to become addicted to it, and then I decided, you know what? I might as well go check out SpongeBob. Keep in mind, this was in 2008 and 2009 when season 5 and 6 were airing. And I being unaware about how the quality was kind of dipping a bit, I still like to check out SpongeBob, and I was really enjoying it. There were a few episodes back then I did not enjoy, like the Splinter or Choir Boys, but I was having a fun time with it. That is until about 2010 when I decided to lose a bit of interest with Nickelodeon and head back to Cartoon Network for a bit. But again, even though, yes, the SpongeBob movie is a fantastic film, I think there are other points that SpongeBob should have ended on, like either season 5 or the Sponge Out of Water, or the season 12, which was the last season that Steven Hillenburg had some involvement in before his passing. I think maybe the what was it? Maybe the SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout would have been a great way to showcase his series finale. And of course, it's still going on, but probably for good reason, knowing how the animation industry is a bit of shambles and many projects have been canceled and stuff. At this point, SpongeBob and the Loud House are what keeping Nickelodeon and Paramount financially stable at the moment. So, and at least the people who are working at Nickelodeon and Paramount, they at least still have some jobs. Anyways, and I still occasionally revisit SpongeBob every once in a while. Sometimes the new episodes, sometimes the spin-off shows like Patrick Star Show and Camp Coral, and even the latest movies. Like, yes, I even checked out the Sandy Cheeks movie and the Plankton movie, and I even sometimes get a few video games too. Like, here's a copy of me with the Patrick Star video game. Okay, but enough stalling. One of my honorable mentions of 2004 movies, the Fairly Odd Parents TV movie Channel Chasers. Like the SpongeBob movie, some say Channel Chasers is where Fairly Odd Parents should have ended. I personally think season 5 before Poof, or maybe season 8 when Meet the Odd Parents happen, where Cosmo and Wanda meet Timmy's mom and dad. They actually spend some time together, and I feel like that was a fitting way to end. But then we had season 9 with Sparky, and later season 10 with Chloe. And then the show got canceled, then temporarily revived as Fairly Odder with as a live action film. Wasn't very good, was a bit of a flop and stuff. But then there's a new Wish. I haven't seen that show yet. I probably should, but I've heard many good things about it, and they say it was a nice way to reboot the franchise. The other honorable mentions are The Incredibles. Pixar showcases that Pixar can do great action movies. Shrek 2, perhaps my most favorite of the Shrek movies. And it's quite an achievement of how it became the highest grossing animated non-Disney film until Minions, as well as the highest grossing DreamWorks film. How many re-releases do you think it will take for Shrek to gross $1 billion? Similarly, how many re-releases of the original Lion King do you think it will take for it to gross $1 billion? And another honorable mention would be Bionicle, Legends of Metro Mui, the prequel to Mask of Light, focusing on the Turaga and in their Towa days. And my most favorite video game is it's a bit of an odd choice, is Zoo Tycoon 2. It was a game I was highly obsessed with. Although, admittedly, I did not really get along with the Zoo Tycoon 2 community. I was a bit of a brat back then because I made some absurd demands, and I did try some Zoo Tycoon 2 modeling myself back then. Looking back at those designs, it's not really great. In fact, I think my best creations are the Pinky and the Brain creatures, where I recolored the koala to look like the brain, and I recolored the red panda to look like Pinky. But that's about it, really. But Zoo Tycoon is still, I do have some fond memories on trying to make zoo creatures and stuff. I think it was one of the best 3D zoo games I've ever made. And I am getting used to Planet Zoo, but it's on the consoles. But I don't think any zoo game can top Zoo Tycoon 2. Maybe Jurassic World Evolution or Operation Genesis are worthy rivals, but well, I don't. What are your thoughts? Now, my honorable mentions of 2004 are Godzilla Save the Earth, my true introduction to the Godzilla franchise, and my introduction to many of its monsters like Megalon, Anguirus Rodan, and King Ghidorah. Sly 2 Band of Thieves, the first Sly Cooper game I ever played. Crash Twinsanity, the first Crash Bandicoot action and adventure game I actually owned. And I believe it was one that had some humor and wit and stuff. And Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal. That was the Ratchet and Clank game I often remember playing the most. In fact, I remember completing 100% of it back then. So anyways, what happened in the short? What happened during the short? So here I am in the backgrounds of Zoo Tycoon 2. We see the kiosks and the reptile house. Here I am sitting on a bench, and I look up, and there's a big shoe. There's a soda can and water bottle there, and I believe that was supposed to be wetlands exhibit. And over here we have Giganta from Justice League Unlimited. I've said this before, and I've said it again. She was my childhood crush. Figuratively and literally, because, and in fact, she was my first cartoon crush, and I think she kind of established my thing for giantesses, to say the least. And I think I've had this kink since I was either 12 or 5 when I saw that giant lady commercial back then. I forgot what it was, but there was a woman who was like gigantic. She looks through a window and stuff like that. And immediately I put the letter in a very suggestive spot, and I had her kiss Rhino and Duck. Maybe if I had more time, I could probably try having her kiss and Rhino, feeling a bit more like it. Kind of like Ginormica from Monsters vs. Aliens when she kissed Derek. A bit more like this. Something like that. But since I was on a time budget, this is all I could do. Time crunch, I meant. So the letter was from Mixopolis. Yeah, just Mixopolis. What are your opinions on Bugs Bunny builders? And I said to him, yeah, it's cute, but I'm more of a Baby Looney Tunes or Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries or any other Looney Tunes of the 2000s and 90s type of guy. And then here's SpongeBob SquarePants in a tank. By the way, those other backgrounds, they were screenshots. They were still images. This one was filmed, and it showcases SpongeBob in a tropical fish tank, and he's like doing these mobile texting. This is what mobile phones used to look like back then. They were flip phones. Sorry, it's a bit pixelated over there. And I'm receiving a message on my Nokia phone because they were all the rage back then. I think my mom used to own this one. Mixopolis' faves of 2004 were The Incredibles, Backyardigans, and The Legend of Zelda. I didn't have anything much to comment on except rest in peace the creator of Backyardigans. And up there we had a giraffe and a monkey, and he's about to let go of a package, and it was something like that. I tried my best to do an anatomy accurate type of giraffe. I don't think I did it right, but I think I should have used an actual real animal, filmed it or something, but I think I ran out of time on that part. So then I opened the package. Unfortunately, I was trying to figure out what Mixopolis meant with this. It was a typo. I was originally going to ask him about that, but remember, I was on a 3-week hiatus when my computer was kind of busted, and I needed to make some adjustments quick before I had to make some quick adjustments and stuff. So I couldn't do this. So I thought about doing this off screen, or doing it in an updated version of this video. So instead, I just drew a Mixopolis, since that's a Mixel's character for the for the request or something like that. That's a bit of an apology. Interestingly enough, in my full complete collection version of my animation, I would actually go back on that part and actually do this. Yes, this is what the person actually wanted me to do, draw these characters. And then suddenly they hop a bit, it says they come to life, and then they bounce. Sorry that was a bit reused. I didn't have time to redraw them, so I just had their bounce a bit like that. And I looked at my pencil, and it says it's a property of Doodlebob, the one that me, mama, and he comes to life by drawings and stuff from the SpongeBob episode, Doodlebob or Frankendoodle. Yeah. So yeah, fellas, this is my commentary on my 2004 birthday animation countdown. Next up is in 2005, and am I the only one who's been noticing a bit of a pattern when it comes to 5 being a bit of a sad day? It's a sad year, at least for me. Thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video.